Finding the love of your life, the ultimate reconnaissance mission. But you did it, and you want to protect the life you've built together through thick and thin. Be their protector for life with life insurance from USAA.
Get a quote today at usaa.com/life.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Conscious Cool Chic Radio. This is Molly McCord, and in this episode, we are going to prepare for the energies of summer 2018 because we have a very interesting phase of energies unfolding over the course of the summer. Now, please know I'm talking about the summer here in the northern hemisphere. I know that for some of you in the southern hemisphere, it will be your winter. We're talking about June, July, and August, as well as into September, and the fact that 8 planets are going to be turning retrograde within this time period. And I'm going to talk about each of those planets. I'm going to give you some insights into how to use the energy in the most conscious and mindful way, and just talk about how this is quite fascinating in astrology, how these cycles line up. And when they do, the universe is being really clear. It's like you can't miss it. And I'm calling it your Zen summer because the energy of 8 planets turning retrograde is a calling back in of our energies. So let me put this into a bigger timeline for you. When we started this year, 2018, for 9 weeks, all planets were moving direct, moving forward, which in astrology is rare. It's rare to have all planets in forward motion. And so the January, February, into March, Jupiter was the first planet to turn retrograde in March. There was this push. And we had these 2 eclipses, and things were energized and moving, and Saturn just was in Capricorn getting his grounding and his footing, and we had all of this energy coming through, pushing us into these new parts of ourselves, pushing us forward. It was this clear signal that, listen, you are new, life is new, energies are new, something within you is coming up and coming out, and it's a feeling. You can sense it. It's working with us in our different areas of our charts, but there's a part of each of us that was about elevating what you want in life, and specifically based on who you are now. So we had this push that started off 2018, all planets direct. Again, that is rare. So now, as we move through 2018, we had a few planets turning retrograde, but we also had big shifts. So like I said, we had Saturn, who just entered Capricorn in December. It was December 20th, 2017. We have Chiron moving into Aries for the first time since the 70s. We have Uranus moving into Taurus the middle of May. So the planets are putting on new clothes. They've changed their outfits, they've changed their intentions, their motivations, and that's what we're each feeling, especially in these 3 areas of our charts where there's new Capricorn, new Aries, and new Taurus energies. The early degrees of those 3 signs especially have been getting a lot of a surge of energy, if you will. So we've all stepped into these new parts of ourselves, these new understandings, these new goals, the new self-identity, and the new sense of worth and money and what we're here to do with these new pieces of ourselves. And what is really beautiful about retrograde planets is that they slow things down for us so that we don't miss anything. Because here we are changing into these new outfits or these new energies, and we're feeling it, and it can be a lot. And we can be mostly unconscious of it. And so the retrograde phases allow us to come into greater contact with these parts of ourselves, these new morsels, if you will, that you've never met before, or that you forgot about, or that you didn't realize needed more of your attention and care. So 8 planets turning retrograde signals to us that there's pieces of ourselves we need to call back. We need to return. Now, most people are familiar with Mercury Retrograde. It's increased in popularity and understanding, and they're familiar with what that means. Although some people freak out about it, I do not. I love Mercury Retrograde. It is the fastest moving planet. It allows us to go back into our minds and look at what we forgot, what we need to go do again, where we have to move slower. It's a gift. Every retrograde, I believe, is a gift. And so this summer, we're being gifted with returning to more of ourselves and more of our energies. Now, something to note here is that, and it's actually quite fascinating, from our perspective on Earth, it appears that a planet goes retrograde. But in reality, that does not happen. Retrogrades are essentially an illusion. They're an illusion of the planet going in reverse based on where we are here on Earth and our elliptical and our cycles. So the planet never really does that. But I find it to be a wonderful tool for us because our little tiny green and blue marble of a planet is spinning so fast in our solar system, in the galaxy, that it actually can feel too fast for the density of our bodies and our brains and our minds and everything we're needing to process. So I see it as a gift of sorts, where we have the illusion of something slowing down so that we can keep pace with the bigger energies in the solar system, the bigger energies that are spinning and moving. And I feel that these retrograde phases are wonderful for us to, again, come back and return to ourselves. So with 8 planets turning retrograde, we focus on words that start with the RE prefix. So that's why I keep saying return, but also restore, revitalize, reprioritize, recommit, reevaluate, and on the list goes. So you look at these areas of your life, especially the ones that were going full steam ahead in early 2018. And we're going to have periods of time to check in with ourselves. So imagine yourself sitting at a desk, and you are the sun in your astrology chart. And as the sun, you're going to be sitting at your side of the desk in your full light, your full power, commanding all of your energy. And you're going to have 8 different planets come and sit down in front of you on the other side of your desk and talk with you and return to you to check in and to see what is working in your life, what has to be revisited. And again, it's about going deeper with something. So retrograde planets are not rare. In fact, almost every natal chart has retrograde planets, meaning there's probably planets in your chart that are in retrograde when you were born. What this means is that the energy needs to be figured out within you first before you take action or do something externally. So it's a longer internal process with retrograde energies. It means we need to sit with it and make sure that we're clear, that we've worked out the issue or tension, that we feel that energy within us before we do something externally. And so that's what we're going to be doing throughout the summer. As you sit at your desk and each of these 8 planets comes to visit you, revisit you, and do a check-in with how a certain part of your life is going, how it's unfolding. what needs to be reworked, re-examined. Perhaps you need to start over. It can be that feeling. So a lot of this summer is about quiet and listening and giving yourself time to sit with something, to not feel that you're rushed to make a decision or you're rushed to make a choice. There's a slowdown that unfolds. So the planets that are going to be in retrograde are nearly all of them. So here's the rundown. I'm going to go back and talk about each one specifically. Mercury, Mars, which only happens every 2 years. Jupiter will be turning direct in July. So in June and half of July, he's in retrograde. Chiron, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Nearly all of them, right? Slamming on the brakes around the same period of time. So let's just go down the list here. Mercury is going to be turning retrograde July 26th at 23 degrees of Leo, and will be moving in retrograde until August 19th at 11 degrees of Leo. So Mercury in Leo is asking us to look and check in with what's in our heart, with our confidence and our courage, with our ability to be ourselves in the world, how we communicate that, the stories we tell ourselves about who we really are, the words we use, and where we have to rewrite a story that includes more of who we are right now. So I'm getting the image of rewriting your professional bio that includes your new accomplishments or your new credentials. It's that kind of an energy of, well, who am I now? Let me sit with this and think about this and work it through and work it out. So Mercury retrograde, July 26th to August 19th. I'm going to go through the planets as they get further from the sun. And as I'm saying that, I realize it makes more sense to do this in chronological order. So I'm going to quickly shift gears. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'll go through the months because I know that's easier. I was doing it with my astrologer brain instead of my normal human brain. So I'm switching to human brain, and I'm going to go month by month, okay? So I started with Mercury, and I know that gives you a heads up. That also means that your summer plans in July and August, you just have to give everything more time. More travel time, more room for mistakes and errors, check your baggage, pack extra clothes in your carry-on, get there early for your flights, allow more time if you're driving. All of the summer travel could be a pain at times with this Mercury retrograde. So here we go into June, okay? Mars. Mars has been in Capricorn for what feels like forever, and he's now in Aquarius. And Mars is in Aquarius, and he is going to station retrograde on June 26th. And when he does that, he stops moving, which Mars doesn't like to do, and he assesses things at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So at 9 degrees of Aquarius, Mars says, okay, wait. I need to go back over the path I was just marching across and make sure I didn't drop anything, I didn't lose any soldiers, I didn't forget my weapons, I didn't, miss something that I need to take care of. So from June 26th, 9 degrees of Aquarius, until the end of August, 2 months, August 28th, he goes back to 28 degrees of Capricorn. And when Mars is in retrograde, it activates our masculine energies, our ego, our desires, what we want, what we've been building, and what we put energy and work towards. And he goes backwards in Aquarius to reassess the vision, to look at what the bigger dream is. And he goes back into Capricorn until 28 degrees. And what he does is he finishes up those loose ends that he really wasn't so sure about. Because he gets a lot done in Capricorn. Mars is very industrious in Capricorn, and he's working away, and he just churns out the work. You know, he's very productive. And then when he moves into Aquarius, he takes what he's been creating and building out to the people. Aquarius is the audience. It's the others, the groups, the networks, the bigger world, essentially. But what he's doing here when he goes retrograde is he's saying, okay, wait. Let me make sure I've got this straight. And he gathers up what he's been carrying. I'm seeing a satchel. It's like you've got your tools, you put everything back in your satchel, and then he goes back into Capricorn and he looks over the plan again. The strategy, the tactics, what do I need to do here? He gets clear, and then he charges forward. August 28th. And because he moves so slow, he doesn't clear his shadow until October, specifically October 10th. So the summer has a reassessment of your goals and your business and what you've been working on and where you felt productive. This doesn't mean you go back and redo everything, but you're looking at what you really want. Because after you put all this work into something, you have to say, okay, wait, what am I doing? And is this really panning out? And is this paying off? And what am I seeing for all my effort? And Mars is about how we assert ourselves and how we go for what we want. And you could, it's like you have to recommit. That's what this Mars retrograde is. It's a recommitting to the bigger and longer term dream and making sure you have the structures in place. Because what you took out to the audience, you might realize, oh, shoot, I didn't put one thing in place that's really important. Or I missed something that I know I'm going to need later on, so I need to go back and work on that. So Mars is where we work on things, especially in Capricorn, like I said. And it's good for him because Mars is the parts of ourselves that we just go. You know, it's your ego, it's your desire, it's the part of you that wants what you want, and you can be out of touch with what's essential too. The Mars retrograde affects men because it's about masculine energy, and so there could be this renewal of masculine energy of what it means for me to be a man, what it means for me to be powerful in the workplace, to be powerful in my culture, groups, networks, tribe, fraternity, sports teams. There's a reassessment of masculine energy. And that is something that we'll see in the news, that we'll see in work and professional areas and careers. But it's looking at, well, what does my masculine self need to ultimately feel strong and confident? Because that's what Mars is all about, is your strength and your confidence in yourself. So we're going to be reassessing that. Again, that's June 26th until August 28th. Now, in the beginning of July 5th, Chiron turns retrograde at 2 degrees of Aries. I did a whole other episode on Chiron going into Aries, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I go over it in that episode. But basically, Chiron is in a whole new outfit here in Aries, and it's looking at the parts of our self-identities that feel a little weak. It's basically our insecurities. Where do I feel insecure? And I just need some more time to accept parts of myself. And it's an inner energy. It's an inner process. Because the retrograde goes back to 27 degrees of Pisces, which is a really quiet energy. So again, it's your Zen, it's your Buddha, it's your, okay, I need to go back into my private sanctuary and gather more pieces of myself that I didn't see before, but that I need to accept and love. So there's new parts of you that are emerging in 2018, and that can make you feel insecure about seeing those parts of yourself because you just didn't know that was there or that that's part of who you are. So your self-identity is being looked at in a new way, and the Chiron retrograde is giving us that energy and that space to accept these parts of ourselves. So please listen to that separate show where I talk about Chiron in Aries. The Chiron retrograde, July 5th until December 9th. Okay, then a week later, here in July, on July 11th, Jupiter turns direct. So that's a good thing because Jupiter has been in retrograde since March 9th. He was the first of the planets to go in retrograde this year. And so he's turning around, and he's going to station direct at 13 degrees of Scorpio. 13 degrees of Scorpio. And whatever he does, he expands it. Jupiter makes it bigger. So he's been working in our Scorpio psyches, in our fears, in our shadow energies, in the stuff under the surface that we didn't see before. He's revealing corruption. He is the Me Too movement. He is the abuse and the power games that have been going on. He's bringing all of that to light. But when he turns direct, July 11th, we hear new stories. We have new information that comes out. New secrets are revealed, and we see the fuller, bigger picture. So he's retrograde all of June and half of July. And then he shifts into direct, and we get that sense of, when something's hidden from you, it subconsciously works against you, whereas when it's in the light, you can claim it as a new part of your power. And so that's what Jupiter is doing. He's revealing unclaimed power. So in your chart, wherever Jupiter is moving through, which is back to 13 degrees of Scorpio, he's showing you more of your power that you didn't see before, that you want to work through, no matter, even if it's a fear that comes up first. And he's showing you that it's time to turn this into something that's useful for you, that's beneficial, that helps you grow, that helps you learn, that brings in new wisdom. Jupiter is a benefit, and he wants to benefit you. So this energy turns around in July, which I feel is going to be a good sense of confidence for us. So then, I'm not going to talk about eclipses in this episode. I have a different episode that will be only about the eclipses in the summer. There's 3 eclipses this summer. They are July 12th, July 27th, and August 11th. And I do want to call those out because those are important energies in July. I'm just not going to go into them in this show. But it's interesting that we have the retrogrades and the eclipses. And I see it as an image of, like, if we're all in our Zen place and we're accessing our inner Buddha, our inner quiet, our inner sanctuary, and we're listening, the eclipses bring the breakthroughs. And I feel it as stars bursting within you. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, yes, and oh wow, okay, and that. And it's like stars bursting within you because we have all these energies that are focused on our internal world. And when you turn inward, you get the answers you seek. When you listen to yourself, you hear what you need to hear. Because that's how we are all connected. When we talk about we are one, it's in the silence that we are one. It's in the listening because we're all ultimately listening to the same energy. We just give it different names. We call it different things. And that's beautiful and that's great. And it's understanding that this is how we are all one. And so there's a sense of we all come in to the private places within us, the stillness, the present moment, just that, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath and tune into my heart and listen. And when you do that, things clear away, and then that's when you feel these stars bursting within you, which is how I see these 3 eclipses. So July has these breakthroughs of the eclipse energy, which is all about moving us forward. Eclipses do that. They make sure that you don't get stuck in one place. And they've been in Aquarius and Leo for at least, 2016? See, it's a separate show, so I don't have all the dates in front of me. But basically, the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, are the energies that have been really having to change. And they're the energies that do not want change. And it's been maybe against their will. It's felt out of their control. It's felt like out of your hands. It's felt like that's not something I would choose. It can be a hard breakup. It can be just a big life change. But you're meant to evolve. Everything works for you, even when you can't see it or feel it in the moment. And so these eclipses are going to come through, my friends, and they're going to help you. Oh, I'm just getting the image of like fresh stardust, where you're like, oh my goodness, there's an explosion of energies that are meant to help you keep growing on your path, keep going forward, to make sure you're not stagnant and stuck. Because have you ever seen, I'm getting the image right now, of water that just sits and it doesn't have any movement, and things start to grow on it, and the mud is so, it's really like that thick, goopy mud, and it's like we can have those parts of our lives that we didn't realize were just like dead in the water, and you don't know what to do, or you're feeling stuck, or maybe you're just fighting your own will, or you don't know the best option. So these eclipses come through, and it's like blasting into that stagnant water. And they just drop like a giant rock, and it breaks up any, sediments or debris that was on the top of the water. It breaks up all the water, gets things swirling, gets things moving. And I feel like the energies of this summer are your internal energies that have been stagnant or stuck, where you had fear or the doubt, the lack of courage, the lack of confidence, the fear of being different, the fear of standing out, the fears that we all on some level carry because they're part of the human experience. But these are energies that are meant to break you free so that you feel confident in your own energy, who you really are, and you don't have to compromise, right? You don't have to hold back who you were, because we all have conditioning. I have other videos, spiritual teachings on conditioning, and I would recommend checking that out. I talk about deconditioning and ego deaths. And these are videos where I actually sit in front of you. I'm in front of the video, and I'm talking to you face-to-face and showing you what this stuff is all about. We are all deconditioning from the programming that we experience in our culture, in our societies, for our genders, for our race, for our religions. We all have it, okay? We all do. But then we realize, wait a minute, I get to choose. What do I choose? Please watch those videos if this is resonating with you, and please know that these summer eclipses are helping you understand your power to choose. And it's been ongoing. It's been wherever the Leo and Aquarius energies are working with you to set you free and to return to what's in your heart and your desires and your passion and your creative force, which is all about your energy signature and your light. So, eclipses, again, those dates, July 12th and July 27th. Now, throughout this summer, Saturn is in retrograde. So Saturn was in retrograde starting April 18th at 9 degrees of Capricorn, and now he's going all the way back to 2 degrees of Capricorn until September 6th. So the full summer, he's in retrograde, back to 2 degrees of Capricorn. So he's covering the terrain of early 2018. And so again, it's going back to, well, what did I start this year in January, and how's it going? And it's sort of this checking in with your own resolutions, your New Year's resolutions. It's checking in with maybe your word of the year, and how is that going? And how is your level of commitment really working for you? And do you need to recommit to look at what you really want? This is, Saturn is where we do our work. It's where we cannot take shortcuts. It's where we have to be adults, We have to be very much in our self-mastery, personal authority. Saturn in Capricorn is awesome because it makes sure that you understand your full potential. It helps you be productive. It helps you focus. And because of that, we have to say no. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. There's too much going on. I need to focus on this goal. I have to focus on this work. I have to focus on these tasks. There's only so much time in the day that I can even get anything done, so I have to eliminate. Saturn can feel like a defeat, feel like a letdown, something discourages you. It can feel like you have to do something you don't want to do, but you need to do it. That's Saturn, where you're like, oh, I wouldn't choose this, but because I'm an adult and I'm being mature, I know that's what I need to do. And so that's what it's working with for all of us, is that maturity of our commitments, our responsibilities, where we're being disciplined. And it's understanding that it's just the name of the game for everyone, but it's specifically for you, it's the early degrees of Capricorn in your chart. From 9 degrees to 2 degrees, we're revisiting that. So that area of your chart, it's moving slowly. You might want it to go fast, but nope, sorry, Saturn in Capricorn is the slow boat, so you don't miss anything, and you're being precise, and you're being really clear and intentional and sure-footed. So that's going slow for all of us. Again, that's until September 6th. And then in September, at 2 degrees of Capricorn, Saturn stations direct, and we go forward with our new commitments or a readjustment, the reprioritizing what matters to us. So maybe something started this year in January. In September, you're going to see it differently. And you're going to work it differently. And you're going to have different ways of working it. That, oh, I didn't know that the first time around, I'm going to redo it. There's a rebuilding. You redo your website. You reconsider your clients or your strategy. You do a new commitment to your body. It depends wherever Capricorn energy is for you. But it's however you thought you were going to do it in January, by September, you have a new commitment that you've made to it. Okay, so let's go into the August action, because August has the most action for these retrograde energies. And the way that I always describe that is that it's like a parking lot. Every planet is driving a car. And have you ever been in a parking lot when multiple vehicles are trying to reverse out of their parking spots or pull in to their parking spots or get out of the lot or come into the lot, and it's just like it's nothing's really moving. You're just waiting for one thing to happen and then another thing to happen. There isn't flow it can be start-stop. Literally, like you're reversing out, and you have to slam on your brakes because someone's right behind you, or you have to wait for someone else to do something. It's just choppy. It's choppy. It's like being in a parking lot, and you can't make these other vehicles go any faster. Everyone's trying to work it out, and all you can do is make sure you have on the right radio station and that you're listening to good songs and good music, and you got your water, and you're just breathing through it, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to get out of here. It's not like this is going to be a traffic jam forever, but I just have to go slow with it. So that's what August feels like. It's the sense of jagged energy, okay? It's kind of jagged. It's sort of like you might not feel that there's flow, but again, remember, the summer is about your inner flow that you're in control of, that no one else is in control of, and the sense that, okay, well, if there's this, crazy traffic jam with all these idiots, and of course, we're not idiots, everyone else is idiots. There's that great joke about that. And it's understanding that, okay, everything is ultimately as it should be, but it just feels a little crunchy. And it feels like, why doesn't this flow more? Well, the purpose is to make sure that when you do get going, when you get out of that parking spot, when you're ready to move, that you are moving forward with what matters to you in your own vehicle. And you're moving forward with peace and clarity. And there's just some things we aren't in control of, right? We're not in control of a lot of things, but we're always in control of our own selves. So I feel like August is going to be this very zen month of, okay, I just need to find the peace in right now, at the present moment. At work, it could be like people are on vacation and you can't move something forward because you need your boss to approve it or a coworker's input, and nothing lines up. It kind of has that energy going on. So plan accordingly, okay? Plan accordingly. Now remember, Mercury Retrograde happens until August 19th. And Mars is retrograde until August 28th. So already we have those planets moving slowly. Then we have August 1st, Neptune stations retrograde at 16 degrees of Pisces. And so when that happens, we all want a vacation because especially Neptune in Pisces, we just want to get out of the world, and we just want to get out of our responsibilities. So August 1st, Neptune stations retrograde at 16 degrees Pisces and goes in reverse until November 25th. So right before the holidays, or around the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S., the American Thanksgiving holiday, and goes retrograde back to 13 degrees of Pisces. Neptune is very slow-moving. It only travels 3 degrees in retrograde. Neptune in Pisces is your spiritual, intuitive self. Your listening, meditation, sleeps, dream work, soul retrieval, other dimensions, astral travel, all that good stuff. Neptune in Pisces. So when Neptune is retrograde, we may need more sleep. You may have more vivid dreams. You may want to meditate more. You just have that desire to get out of work and responsibilities and to just take a load off. That's August 1st, so it starts the month. Then, a week later, August 8th, Uranus stations retrograde at 2 degrees of Taurus. Now, remember how Uranus just changed clothes into his Taurus rugged survivalist gear, or he's a dashing banker. That's also Taurus. But he's in a different outfit at 2 degrees of Taurus, and he stations retrograde, and he's trying to get comfortable in this new energy. And he's saying, now wait, what am I doing here? Oh, right, I'm looking at money. I'm looking at my finances. I'm looking at how I spend money based on what I want to own. And do I want to own all this stuff and I want to get rid of it? And what is this? Does this have any value to me? Does this have any meaning? We look at our love life and our love relationships. We look at where the Uranus energy is meant to set us free from something. So basically, May 15th, we're getting new information about the Uranus in Taurus energy. I have a separate show on that, which I recommend you listen to, because it's about an hour long, and it has really good information about Uranus in Taurus. And as Uranus stations retrograde 2 degrees Taurus, August 8th, he reviews what he was learning since May. And he's like, okay, now what do I want? And what do I value? So we reassess what we're doing with our money, with our relationships, with our material possessions, with the earth. All of that stuff comes up. And when Uranus stations retrograde in an earth sign, that can signal a period of bigger earth events as well. Okay, so that's Uranus. And then finally, my friends, we have another eclipse August 11th. And that eclipse I'll go into more in my separate show on the eclipses. But that happens right after Uranus, just a few days after that Uranus turning retrograde. I'm kind of stalling because I feel like there's just so much around the middle of August around something changing and being set free that for the fixed signs, again, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, I know that's been hard for so many of you. I mean, even if it's your planets in those signs, because you don't want change. You want the stability, the reliability. Like, you're the ones who show up no matter what. Like, if you want a job done well, you give it to a fixed sign, and they will take that ball and they will run with it, and they will make sure it's done. I mean, you're the reliable ones of the zodiac, and these eclipses have been just throwing your world up into the air. Like, I'm getting the visual of all the papers on the desk just being tossed up in the air, and you're like, what is going on? It's the unexpected breakups. It's the hard things, like the hard changes, the stuff you didn't think would happen. But part of these fixed signs is that they get so narrow-minded, which isn't intentional, but you're just set on an outcome. You're set on a destination, on something you want, on a direction, and you're just so honed in on it, which is a strength, which is awesome. But the universe is shaking that up, and it has been shaking that up so that you can see bigger possibilities. So August feels like this energy of, like I said, the parking lot, right? Because things are getting reworked and reconfigured in a way that are helping you then see some more possibilities or new outcomes that just weren't on your radar. And I feel like with the Mercury retrograde and the Mars retrograde throughout August, you cannot go to your mind for answers. You can't go to your ego for answers. You can go to your heart, because the Leo energy is about the heart and the desire and what you truly love, and it's a big love. I feel it as the high heart, which is different than the human heart. The high heart is where we have the soul love, the bigger God love, universal love, and you go to that part within you to get your answers. And that's why we're being quiet. And that's also why the universe doesn't want you distracted by external things. Okay, so you're in this parking lot, and everyone's a crazy driver, but nothing's moving, but it doesn't matter because you have your Zen. And you go inwards, and you just close your eyes, and you're like, I'm just going to wait this out. Can you just wait it out? Can you just sit in that not knowing? Can you just sit there peacefully? You know, palms up, hands open, very receptive, very aware, very open to receiving. And that's when the new stuff comes through your heart, and that's when the new activation happens. That's also this eclipse energy of something new bursting through and bursting open. And so August is about that for each of us. Again, I'm getting the image of, things bursting open, but it's within your heart, that new passion, the new courage, the new confidence, the new desire, a new sense of strength in what you want and your ability to go for it. It's fiery energy because the sun will be in Leo. But what we're looking at here, okay, so this is the next image I have. Basically, the universe is like turning off all the lights, like dark, dark, dark. You're sitting alone in a dark house by yourself. You have everything you need, and you just have to listen. And you can't rush it, and you can't push it, and you have to receive it. And your mind is not going to give you what you want. Your ego isn't going to give you what you want. These other planets, they're like, go inside and you'll find me. And that's where we all have to turn our attention. So that's why this summer there's going to be more quiet. You might have some plans that fall through. Count those as blessings. You might have some things on your calendar that never happen, that you don't want to do anymore. I would allow yourself time this summer for the meditation, the retreat, the quiet, leaving your weekends open kind of a thing, so that you're not too externally focused. It's an internal summer. It's a listening summer. It's a time of making sure that you are fortified within. In the spiritual world and what's going on, it's like doing your work, doing your inner work of your fears and the healing and the energy and moving things and light. And I feel like we don't always give ourselves that time to do that. And this is the summer for your own inner healing and to make that a priority. Now, the final planet that we have in retrograde is Pluto. Pluto went retrograde April 23rd at 21 degrees of Capricorn and is retrograde all summer until October 1st, 18 degrees of Capricorn. And Pluto comes through and he tears up things and he transforms it permanently. He works deep within our psyches. It's the energy of death, rebirth, and phoenix rising. It's the energy of things being changed permanently, deep healing work, counseling, therapy, psychology, energy healing, energy work. It's at a very deep core level across multiple lifetimes. Pluto is associated with your soul's evolution and your soul's growth. And when something works with you at that level, it's working with you across multiple lifetimes. So it is shamanic journeying. It is soul retrieval. It is working with the Akashic records and other lifetimes of healing. If Pluto is working with you personally between 18 degrees of Capricorn and 21 degrees of Capricorn, you are healing something and working with it across all lifetimes. It is a lot of deep inner work that can feel like you're going down a rabbit hole. It can feel like drudgery, and it can feel like something that it's so emotional. I've had a lot of Pluto transits in my own life. I've had Pluto across my ascendant, Pluto square my sun, and Pluto oppose my moon. I have more Pluto transits coming up. Awesome, 2 thumbs up, because I know Pluto so well. And when you understand the power of Pluto, you just know you have to surrender and let go of that part of yourself that is transforming. And it's transforming permanently. It's transforming powerfully. So Pluto takes things away, but it's like, okay, I'm getting the image of being at a gambling table, and you're like, oh my gosh, don't take away my 2 chips. It's like my last 2 chips. And he takes away, your last 2 chips that you have. You're sitting at the table. But then when you can allow that loss or that change or that temporary feeling of control to leave, Pluto comes back around. He's got like a tray of chips. He's like, oh, yeah, these are all you, by the way. These are your thousands and thousands of dollars. And I mean that energetically, because it's about a renewal of your own power at a soul level that gets healed across all these lifetimes. So, Pluto takes things away but then brings it back when you do the work, especially in Capricorn. Remember, in Capricorn, no shortcuts. You have to work for it. It's not easy, and it requires you to be alone. It requires you to climb the mountain alone. And part of climbing that mountain means also going into the dungeons. It is the Lord of the Rings. It is Frodo and the ring. It's that journey, and it's understanding that it's only making you better and stronger. So if you feel like you have these 2 chips left, and you're like, these are my only 2 chips, and they get taken away or they've been taken away, you got to keep trusting, my friend, that they're going to come back, because they do. It can be a different form. It can be through different means, because Pluto transforms things. So it's whatever house that Pluto is voyaging for you is where this deep transformation is occurring. And it's been the same territory since last December. So you see how this summer is reworking December, January, February. And it's meant to bring in more that you would have forgotten, you didn't see, you didn't know you had, just stuff that was out of your awareness. And these retrogrades gift us with that ultimately. Even when it isn't on our timeline, it doesn't feel like it's our choice or within our, ego's desires, but you're always taken care of, and things come through. So it's an interesting summer. It's an internal summer. It's a time when it can feel a little rocky, a little crunchy, a little jagged. Also a heads up, since we're on the topic of retrograde planets, Venus is going to be turning retrograde in October. October 6th, 10 degrees Scorpio. She goes retrograde back to 25 degrees of Libra until November 16th. So that's for this fall. And Venus only goes retrograde every 18 months or so. It's not as common of an occurrence. And she is our feminine energy and our money. So it's never a good time to make investments or buy big things or even, it's really about relationships and looking at your current commitments in relationships and to money, because she turns retrograde in Scorpio and goes back to Libra. Those are both money energies. So I'll talk more about that as we get to the fall of 2018, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on that since it's within the scope of these retrograde energies. And so we've got an interesting summer. Now you know. Now you've got some things to think about, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to commit to? And please join me on my weekly podcast where every Wednesday I talk about these energies because, hey, we forget, right? So I'll be checking in and talking about each of these energies as they unfold every week. I've been doing my podcast since 2012. It has changed formats through the years, but I love doing it because I love teaching and sharing and supporting you. You can find out more about me on one of my many websites. I am at consciouscoolchic.com. My astrology website is consciousintuitiveastrology.com. I have a business development website for authors, healers, solopreneurs, experts, guides at mollymccord.online. And then I also run spiritualityuniversity.com. So yeah, I've got some things on my plate, but I can manage it, and I love it. Like, this is what I'm here to do. And when you know what you're here to do, you just work, and you just get it done because I know that it supports you, and that's what brings me so much joy. So thank you so much, my friends, for listening to this podcast. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Thank you for sharing it in your Facebook groups and membership sites. That's awesome that people are finding this information. I really hope it benefits as many people as possible, because each of us is a unique and precious energy source in this universe. And the more that we each shine our light and the fuller we feel within our own energies, the more we benefit one another. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here next Wednesday for our next weekly show. And until then, I wish you many blessings and, of course, namaste. And I hope you enjoy a lovely Zen summer. See you soon.
The kids are playing and laughing. The house is filled with the life you've worked so hard to build. You're committed to protecting this life and everyone in it. Life insurance from USAA can help.
Get a quote today at usaa.com/life.
The kids are playing and laughing. The house is filled with the life you've worked so hard to build. You're committed to protecting this life and everyone in it. Life insurance from USAA can help.
Get a quote today at usaa.com/life.